Hello and welcome to this episode of the Blog Chronicles. I am your host, Matthew Loomis. Here on the Blog Chronicles podcast, we talk with world-renowned bloggers living their dreams and mid-tier bloggers chasing their dreams. What we do is we dive deep into their personal story and talk about their expertise and find out some things that they know that can help bloggers like you be more successful. Before we begin, let me point out that the Blog Chronicles is sponsored by BuildYourOwnBlog.net, the full-service destination for people who want to start their own WordPress blog and achieve long-term success. Visit BuildYourOwnBlog.net to start your new blog today. All right, so who is going to be our guest today? Well, today we're going to talk to Jen Herman. If you ever want to find Jen Herman online, remember to spell her first name with two N's. Jen started her blogging journey in 2013 with her first blog solely as a hobby and set up on a free WordPress platform. Jen quickly realized that a free blog is not always the best option. She soon changed over to jenstrends.wordpress.com and moved over to her own URL, which is called jenstrends.com. Jen is a top-tier blogger and an expert on Instagram and social media marketing. On this episode of the Blog Chronicles, we're going to ask Jen to help us better understand Instagram as a community-building tool and how versatile Instagram can be if you use it in the proper manner. I've got a stack of questions ready to ask Jen, and we're going to focus on her blogging journey first, get some blog tips from her experience, and then the second half of the show, I'm going to zero in on Instagram because Jen is an Instagram expert and she's finding lots of success over there, and I want to know what she knows. So let's get our blog chronicle on now with Jen Herman at jenstrends.com. Hi, Jen. Welcome to the show.
Hey, Matthew. So good to be here. I'm excited.
Yeah, me too. We're going to get into your personal journey as a blogger in the first part of this interview, and then we want to talk about Instagram and how bloggers can use Instagram to gain better traffic and even make sales. So first of all, let's start with your blogging journey, Jen. You are currently blogging at jenstrends.com. How long have you been blogging at this domain, and can you talk about what the purpose of your website is all about?
Sure. So it's Jen's Trends, like you said, but it's Jen with two N's. I was born in the 80s with about a bazillion other Jennifers, so I was always 2N Jen. So make sure to keep that in mind when you look for me anywhere on social media or spell my website.
That's true. That was a very popular name back then. Yeah.
It really was. I mean, there's literally like 5 Jennifers in every high school class, every elementary school class. Like even now we have a small corporate office at my day job, and there's 2 Jennifers there. I mean, there's always, everyone's named Jennifer. It's ridiculous. But I started this journey in January of 2013. So I've been doing it for just over 4 years. And when I started, I actually was on a free WordPress.com. So I was actually jenstrends.wordpress.com. About probably 6-7 months in, I did actually switch over and went to jenstrends.com and got my own URL. So when I started, it was very hobby-based, and I didn't have any expectations, and I didn't want to invest any money in it, so I used the free site. I did learn a lot from that process of switching over. Even in those 7 months, I'd actually gained a significant amount of traffic and search ranking and things like that it actually was a huge pain in the rear end to switch platforms and have to redirect traffic. So
right.
Up front, lesson learned, invest in your own URL as soon as you get started. It'll save yourself a lot of hassle. But yeah, I mean, that was a bit of a challenge. I started my blog really because in my day job, I was working at getting senior management, maybe you could define them as older men, who did not understand social media. I was trying to get them to embrace social media. And of course, they had all these fears and negative connotations, and everyone's going to smear us all over social media. And I was going through all these challenges and getting things set up and breaking down these barriers and fears. And I've always been a teacher and trainer by nature. So for me, because I don't have 8 million other things to do in my life, I figured I was going to start a blog. You know, why not?
Mm-hmm.
And it was purely for the purpose of sharing some of those experiences. And if I could help another business owner or another, person in similar shoes overcome their fears and challenges, then it would be a success. And I had no business plan. I had no motivation for an end state. It was purely built as a hobby when I first started.
But you knew you were going to focus on social media. Is that correct?
Yes. So
Okay.
it was called Jen's Trends because it was trends in social media management was how it started. So it was what was new in social media and what was, big. Like, so, obviously things like Facebook, and at the time Twitter was the big thing, not Instagram as much. It was still kind of coming out of its infancy back then. And, what was, trendy on LinkedIn back then isn't necessarily the same as it was now. So it was meant to be what's new and fresh and keep people up to date with things that were changing in the social media space. I knew it was going to be social media focused. It was and still is very 101 level. It's very introductory content. It's meant for those people who are the small business owner who are trying to do it all. It's those people who want to do social media, but they're scared. They don't really know where to get started. All of my content is very how-to. It's very hand-holding type, like, let's get you started. Let's get you over these hurdles.
Right.
And I say frequently, and it's not a joke, I literally say people graduate from my blog to other resources when they're ready to take that next step and get into deep dive analytics and figure out Facebook ads and start talking about, these high level, type marketing tactics. I'm not that person for them. And that's totally fine. That's not what my blog is about. And they move on to better resources to serve those purposes when they need them. Mine is definitely more of a entry level 101, get your feet on the ground with a solid footing and run with that to get started.
That's interesting. Yeah, I'm the same thing, except it's all about blogging and it's very entry level, beginner focused as well.
Good.
Was this your first website or did you blog before?
First website. Yeah, I literally I had managed websites at my day job, so I wasn't new to the whole necessarily concept of running a website or a blog. But it was my first go around. I literally jumped in right into the deep end, I guess you could say, and just got started with it. I'd been following bloggers and people like Melanie Duncan and Amy Porterfield and Mari Smith and, doing their webinars and reading their blogs and following a bunch of other bloggers. So I had an understanding of what I wanted. I knew I could do it. I'm a writer by trade. I like to write. I would rather read than watch a video. So blogging was an easy fit for me in that capacity.
So you were a social media marketing manager in the corporate world?
Yeah, you could. At the time, I wasn't technically that kind of title, but it was kind of falling into my wheelhouse because it was new at our company. At this point, I'm still with the same company. I've been with the company for 7 years, and now I am the director of marketing for the company. So it is definitely a function of what I do. But at the time, I was doing we did a leadership program, so I was doing all the design and training development and curriculum development and workshop or workbook development type things. And I always joke at my day job, my title is the director of making things pretty. So anything communications wise and all that sort of stuff was what I did. And so marketing was a natural fit for me to take on at the company. So it was something I was doing, but it's not like I was managing, accounts or pages that had hundreds of thousands of followers. I was starting everything from scratch and, a couple hundred followers.
Oh, okay. This is great. I didn't realize that you were still working a day job with this company. Okay.
Yep. I'm like I said, I got 8 million things to do every day. I got to keep myself busy.
Well, that's great, because a lot of listeners are still working day jobs as well. And they're wondering, how do I fit blogging into my busy life? So
it can be a challenge, but it has to be a commitment. I always say my blog is my business and I treat it like a business. If it means I have to stay up till 11 o'clock at night to finish that blog post, it means I do. It means if I, have to eat dinner hovered over my keyboard, I do. I have a commitment to that blog, and that is why my blog is successful and it's grown and been given the awards it's been given, is because I treat it like a business. If you treat it like a hobby, then it will be, I posted last week, I'm good, I'll post next week. Oh, well, it's been another week, and next thing you know, you're not posting regularly. I have a commitment to my audience that I post on a consistent basis, and I mean, barring illness or unusual circumstances, that post goes out every single week without question.
That's fantastic. So aside from, I noticed on your website you're doing some speaking.
Mm-hmm.
Are you doing any social media consulting outside of your corporate position?
Yep. Yeah, I do.
Okay.
So I don't do social media management. I don't do any management for any clients, but I do social media consultations and I do social media strategy development. So I actually work with clients one-on-one to help them devise their own social media strategy, whether it's for one platform or multiple platforms. I help them with all the major platforms. I do consultations where I do, 1 hour consultations or batches where we, I have some clients that call me monthly. I have some clients that call me quarterly, or technically I call them, I guess. But that we have that regular occurrence, and it's a chance to check in and talk strategically about what they're doing and what's working and what do they need to tweak. So I absolutely do, the consultations and strategy development and those sorts of things as well. I love that. Those are the calls that I get off the call and I'm like, that was amazing. Like, I just love my clients. I love talking social media, and I just love spending that time with them. It's really fun for me.
That's fantastic, Jen. So are you using content marketing to find leads for your social media consulting business?
All of my marketing is pretty much my blog and social media. I literally don't do any outbound. Everything I do comes to me. I don't source out new clients. I don't ask for new clients. I ask the universe for new clients. I'm like, Mama needs some money. But in the same turn, they come to me. People read my blog. There are people that have been reading my blog for 2 years and all of a sudden send me an email and they're like, I've been reading your blog forever and I really need your help. And I'm like, never met this person, never heard their name, have no idea who they are, but they've been reading me religiously for 2 years and now they're ready for help. So Sometimes it takes longer. Sometimes they read 2 or 3 posts. This is the girl I need to work with. The great thing is every single one of my clients that's come to me that I work with, I love because they know who I am before they even talk to me. They know me from my blog. They know my voice. They know my style. They know exactly what they're going to get from me. And they're my ideal client. They want to work with me and they're similar personalities and we're drawn to each other in similar ways because my blog is so open and honest in that personality that the moment we first pick up the phone, I am best friends with almost all of my clients. It's a great relationship, and it's all because of that foundation from the blog.
So how does your blog help you find speaking opportunities?
Well, again, a lot of it comes down to being a proof source. As a leading expert, I am actually the world's forefront blogger on Instagram marketing, so I typically speak on Instagram. I have spoken on other topics, but I'm typically invited to speak on Instagram because that's where I'm a forefront leading expert. And so because my blog is what gets out there, that's what gets the traffic. That's what people find when they're searching for things. And I've had leading organizations find me through Google search looking for experts, and they end up on my blog, read my posts, and go, yeah, she knows what she's talking about. And then they'll reach out to me to speak at that point.
Fantastic, Jen. Thanks for sharing your blogging story with us. I think you're a great example for people. Especially those that are still working full time, that even if they want to one day work for themselves, I still think you're a great example that yes, you can do both at the same time.
And you absolutely can. And there's nothing to say, I tell myself sometimes, I'm like, wow, it's been 4 years and this is all I've achieved. And other days I'm like, it's only been 4 years and I've achieved all of this. So your definition of success is your own definition. And you may write your blog and work a full-time job for 6 years, 10 years. You might after 1 year be able to quit your job and focus on a business full-time thanks to your blog. Everyone's going to be at their own pace, and it's really important to focus on what works for you. I know for me, I had full intentions of going hardcore into my personal business and through my blog and my website and consulting, and I got pregnant and I had a baby and now I have a toddler. I mean, that put my whole business track onto a whole different plan because now I'm highly distracted. And I was like, I ain't leaving no full-time job now that I got me a baby. Like, I need that bill to be paid, So everyone has their own pace and their own challenges and their own circumstances. And, the blog will always be there. If you build it right and you have that audience, it's yours to fall back on and move forward with when the timing's right.
Before we go on to Instagram, let me ask you this. How has blogging changed your life?
How hasn't it? I mean, to be completely honest, it's shocked me. Thanks to my blog. I mean, before I started my blog, I never wanted to speak on a stage. I didn't want to be anyway, considered a global expert in anything. This was never a capacity I'd ever thought about. And now I am. My name is literally known around the world. I mean, that in and of itself is mind-blowing, but it's the connections I've made. And I connect social media to my blog because I use social media as part of my blogging platform. I share all my blogs to social media, and the connections I've made, the people I've met, the opportunities I've been given, friends and great relationships and networks. And I know people around the world, and I have amazing opportunities as a result of it. And these are all thanks to the platform I built on my blog. So it's honestly, I can't tell you how it hasn't changed my life in some way.
Sounds like it. Fantastic. No regrets, right?
Not one.
Doesn't sound like it.
Except I should have started off on my own URL right away. Other than that,
yes. That's the big key right there.
Yes.
Jen, let's move on to Instagram because this really is your expertise. I read your book. It's called The Ultimate Beginner's Guide to Instagram, which is available on Amazon, and there is a link to your book in the show notes. You're a big fan of using Instagram for business, and let's start with why. Why should bloggers use Instagram to promote their website?
Because Instagram is amazing. I could go on for 6 hours, so I'll keep it short. But honestly, there's 700 million monthly active users right now on Instagram, and that number is growing exponentially at unprecedented rates, unlike any other platform. It is the place where people are, and they're there for fun. They're there for education. They're there for a lot of reasons that is great to be able to promote your blog. And the reason I love it as a blogger is that I get to drive the highest quality traffic every week to my blog. And I have to explain this because most people don't like Instagram because it only has one clickable link in the bio. And they're like, this sucks. I can't post links in my posts. You're right. You can't. And you know what? That's amazing. Because on Twitter, you get junk traffic. People click your link by accident. They were scrolling and they, kind of thumb stopped by accident on your link, or on LinkedIn, they didn't scroll far enough, or they accidentally clicked. And same thing with Facebook. You get a lot of junk traffic, or people see something and they think it's what they want, but it's really not. And they end up there and they bounce off because it's not what they wanted. On Instagram, you have to be very creative. You post a notification that your blog post is out. I do this every week when I have a new blog post. I post the photo from the blog, the actual photo of the blog image, and then I put a caption and I say a new blog post is live. I put a teaser about what is in that blog post. Why do they care to read it? The title's already in the photo, but now I'm telling them what's in the content. And then in big giant capital letters, I say, click on the link in my bio. And that link goes to my blog page, not my home page, not my services page, my blog page, where my most recent blog is at the top of that page, as well as all my other blog posts. So what ends up happening is they see the photo, they read the caption, they click on my profile, they click on the link. Now they're on my website. Do you think anybody who took those 4 or 5 steps is going to jump off that blog because they got there by accident? They're there because they care. Yeah. They actually took the initiative to get there, which is why the bounce rate from Instagram is virtually 0. So you may not get as much traffic from Instagram as you do from other platforms, but it is seriously the highest quality traffic you can generate. And that's for any business, not just blogging, but obviously for bloggers, that's what we're talking about. And that's how I use it. Every single week, I drive traffic. Some weeks it's maybe 38, some weeks it's 62, some weeks it might be 100. It just depends on the blog post and the traffic and when I posted it and different factors. But I'm driving traffic every single week to my blog from Instagram. And those are people who are my diehard followers that are, maybe they forgot to check their email and they didn't get the email notification that my blog post had come out. Or they're like, oh, that blog post title looks really interesting. I want to go check that one out. So, and I get new followers who don't realize I'm a blogger and they just follow me on Instagram because I'm talking social media stuff. And then they're like, oh, she's got this blog. Well, now they're signing up for my blog. Now they're in my sales funnel. So it's absolutely rewarding as a tool for bloggers. It just, you have to put the time and strategy behind it to get it to be successful.
That is a great point, that because it's not as easy to get to your website, the traffic is higher quality.
Yep, absolutely. And that's why I love it.
Interesting. So what are some of the ways that a blogger can use Instagram to get traffic? Well, you just shared that with us as far as...
and on top of that, though, you have to understand Instagram as a community building tool. And as a blogger, if you're using your blog to connect with people and share information and develop loyal readers and have that community, that loyalty in your readers, Instagram is the obvious support system for that, because the people on Instagram are so engaged, and it's a huge community building tool. It's probably... I mean, you can make an argument for any platform, including Snapchat and Twitter if you want to. But in my personal experience, the level of engagement and community building is exceptional on Instagram. People are more engaged there. They're more likely to leave comments. They're like, I literally have friends that I consider really good friends. Like when I'm having a bad day, they're the people I call. And we met on Instagram 3 years ago. We'd never known each other before. And now these are some of my best friends in the world. So... Wow. The community aspect of Instagram allows you to foster that relationship with your audience that allows you to promote your blog, which allows you to further build your community. And if that's why you're using your blog, and that's why I use my blog to educate people, but I love the community. I love the people. I love that people email me or leave comments, and I get to learn about their lives and their challenges and help them. Instagram is exactly the same thing, just a different platform. And so that ties into the, the driving traffic and that sort of thing. Because if you're building your community on Instagram, then you can send them to your blog. If they love you on Instagram, they will most likely want to read your blog post. They're going to want to see what you're talking about, whether you're a craft blogger, whether you're a food blogger, whether you're a social media blogger, whether you're, anything blogger. If you have a community that loves you on Instagram, they're going to want to know what you're talking about on your blog.
Okay, you just listed several blog niches. Now, are you saying that any and all blog niches should use Instagram, or are there a few niches that don't work well with Instagram?
So here's the thing, and I say this across the board. Any business, any blogger can use Instagram. That doesn't mean everybody should. There are people out there who you would never think would be successful on Instagram. The TSA is highly successful on Instagram, believe it or not. There is a medical examiner who posts literal autopsy photos on Instagram. Hugely successful.
Wow.
Is it gory and disgusting? Absolutely, but it's highly educational. She uses it to talk about real medical issues and real societal challenges and education and information, and she's highly successful. So anybody can use Instagram if you use it in the right way and you understand how the platform works. So I would never say that there's a niche or a blogging type topic that would not do well. But that being said, you have to know what you're going to do to promote your content. You have to be strategic, and you have to think about a content strategy, because you can't just be like, oh, I blog, I'm going to have Instagram. Like, Instagram is very visual, and not everything translates to visual content. But for example, I'm a social media blogger. How many times can really, like, what do? I sit at a desk all day and type on a keyboard. Like, this isn't exciting. I'm not creating beautiful masterpieces of food, right? So you have to get creative. And even if it's something where you are taking, a beautiful sunset photo, you could post a photo of a sunset and just say, happy Friday, everyone. It has been a crazy busy week. I have been swamped in projects, but I'm so excited for you to read next week's blog post. I really think it's going to tie in with the projects we've been talking about. Have a great weekend. So you have a sunset photo that seems irrelevant, but you make the caption still related to your audience and your business and your purpose and your blog and et cetera, then it all ties together. So you just have to get smart about where you find the content and how you create it.
Jen, I read somewhere a few years ago that the photos that get the most engagement on Instagram are the ones that use no filter at all. And then I read in your book that the photos with the most vivid colors are the photos that get the most response. Did something change over time, or why do you think that bright colors are so important?
Well, and here's the thing. It's probably been changed since I wrote that book. It's always changing. Instagram, what it was 4 years ago, is not what it is now and not what it was 2 years ago. It's constantly evolving. What tends to stay true throughout the years is photos with faces get better engagement because people like to connect with people.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't necessarily have to be your face. It doesn't have to be a selfie, even if there's a person in the photo. So if you're a fashion blogger, don't just have clothes on you with your face cropped out. Have you in the photo, or have the model, but put them in an organic space. Have them out in a field of flowers, not just sitting in your bedroom in front of the hall mirror or something like that. Get creative, but when you have people, they tend to perform better. The color blue tends to perform the best. I don't know why, but that's tried and true across the board. Is typically, I think, like a 20 to 30% higher engagement when you use the color blue, but not always true. Some people get better engagement with a different color palette depending on your brand and your audience. Yes, bright colors did used to perform the best. People like that high contrast, high saturated color scheme on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, it's honestly kind of shifted to a very muted, very whitewashed is what tends to be the quote prettiest and the most engaged content. And the problem with that is now everybody's doing it and it's getting really old and really tired.
Mm-hmm.
But it's because it's pretty and it's trendy and everybody likes it. So everybody's doing it. And there's everything's pastels and white and high, brightness levels and all this sort of stuff. So it always changes. It's kind of always in flux. But no matter what, even if a 20 to 30% increase in engagement is important to you, it only is important if it actually works. And just because it worked for, 60% of people doesn't mean it's going to work for you. You need to know what your audience wants, and you need to know what works for you and your brand. Some brands like that high contrast, deep saturated colors, and that works well. Some people like a beautiful vintage muted tone. Great. If that's what works, run with it. You may want to do all your shots in the middle of the daylight, gorgeous bright shots. You might be a nighttime type photographer. If you're a nightclub, you're not going to have photos in the middle of the day, right? So, you've got to think about what your audience wants, what you're promoting, and all that sort of space. So it's all about experimentation and seeing what works across the board.
Jen, you have an email newsletter, right?
I do. Yeah. If you sign up, it's on, you go to jenstrends.com, you sign up on the front page or anywhere else on the website. And then every week I send out an email newsletter to support that blog post.
That's good to know. I wanted people to know that because you're probably a good source of information when it comes to knowing these trends that you're talking about and how Instagram changes over time.
Yeah, and I when things change, I always blog about them. So they always go up my blog posts. I also have a membership community called Jen's Friends, which is exclusive for Instagram marketing. And that's where whenever news updates pop out, whenever these things happen, we always talk about it in Jen's Friends. I do training videos every month, and I talk very strategically about a lot of these sorts of things. So because Instagram is my home and where I love to be in social media, I definitely love to make sure people have that knowledge of what's now working and how are things evolving and changing. Because I always joke when I record a podcast, I'm like, that's what it is today. But literally like the next week, like Instagram will change something. And I'm like, I told you, like it changes that fast. You never know.
Right. That's excellent. That's good to know. And of course, that's the case with most of the platforms. But especially it sounds like even, Instagram is even more so.
Absolutely. And I think because they're owned by Facebook and they have that power to do things quickly and effectively, they're not, a startup company trying to, figure out how to add 80 more employees to make a new process roll out. Facebook just says, this is what's going to happen. And all of a sudden it's being rolled out. They've got, a huge resource behind them with that. So when they want to do something, it happens pretty quickly.
All right, Jen, let's talk a little bit about hashtags. Hashtags are very effective on Instagram. Some platforms like Facebook, they're not so great. In your book, you say that to use hashtags, you list some different things that make hashtags effective for the people that are posting them and then useful for the followers. Can you tell us a little bit about what makes a good hashtag?
So hashtags, and I have to say, I actually hate hashtags. Until Instagram, I did not use hashtags, and I still don't use them on any other platform. I don't even use them on Twitter. Like, I just don't do hashtags. It's, like, really annoying to me. But in the world of Instagram, you cannot ignore the hashtag. It's kind of the secret sauce to success. And the reason why is that they allow you to get in front of new audiences. It allows you to get your content seen by new people. And again, you have to be very strategic with it and I think in the book that you're referring to, I think I may have said 5 to 10 hashtags. Now I actually recommend about 20 hashtags per post.
Oh, okay.
So you can use up to 30. Don't go over 30 or your post will not actually post. So you can't go over 30, but I recommended about 20. And the reason why is because it doesn't look spammy. Everyone's always like, well, I'm not going to use that many hashtags. I look like I'm spamming. I'm like, it's Instagram. Everybody's doing it. Like, it's not unexpected. It's totally fine. So that's not a reason to stop. And if you have the opportunity to get in front of that many more people, why wouldn't you use it? Like, why would you only use 5 if you can use 30?
Right.
So the thing you want to, and my best strategy recommendation is you want to pick about 4 to 5 really popular hashtags. Again, every hashtag should be related, though, to your content. So if you're a food blogger, all of your content should be or your hashtag should be related to your content, whether it's food in general, that specific dish, whether it's, whether it's organic or whether it's, farm to table or any of those types of things, you want to be specifically related to your content. So you pick 4 to 5 hashtags that are very popular. We're talking like in the millions of posts because those get you that initial burst of activity. That gets you high initial reaction. Then you want to pick about 5 or 6 hashtags that are moderately popular. These are a little bit more targeted, a little bit more closer towards your niche. This is where you might get into that organic food, or you might get into, mommy blogger type, hashtags or something like that. They're a little bit more narrow and focused. They maybe have tens to hundreds of thousands of photos associated with them. And then you want to pick your super specific. These are your niche specific hashtags. So you want 3 to 5 niche specific where it's exactly what you do. If you're if you're organic raw food blogger, that's your hashtag. If you are whatever your brand name is, so I'm hashtag Jen's Trends and I'm hashtag Learn from Jen. Those are my branded hashtags. So those go on all of my posts. So you want to have those really niche specific ones and then your personal branded ones. And the reason why is, again, those popular ones get you that initial burst of activity. Those moderately popular keep your content alive for hours, if not days, usually hours. And so it keeps your content active for a period of time. Those niche specific ones are the ones where you get found. That's your target audience. And what Instagram does through other algorithm and fancy analysis of everything, when they look at your post and go, oh, the moment that this person posted, they got a great burst of activity and it stayed active for like 3 days. Well, that's good. They produced great content that continued to be of value to their audience. We want that content to get more exposure. So in those niche specific, those highly targeted ones where people are going to look for you and find you, all of a sudden you rank as a top 9 post because you had that long enduring engagement. So when you go into Instagram and you search a hashtag, you always see 9 posts at the very top. And those are the top 9. Beneath that, everything is chronological. But those top 9 could be a week old, a day old, 2 weeks old, whatever Instagram determines is the best performing content. And if you can own and dominate those top 9 for those target hashtags, your audience is going to find you. So again, though, you have to think about what your audience is searching for. So for example, I can use the hashtag social media marketing, but is my audience really looking for that? I'm looking for people who are looking for Instagram training. I'm looking for people who are looking for Instagram marketing. Like, I want them to find me in those niche specific hashtags, not just something general. If you are a local blogger, if you talk about your specific geographical area, then you want to use those local hashtags because people are probably looking for things, restaurants in blah, 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 blah city. So let's say in San Diego, I would look for hashtag San Diego restaurant. I want to find restaurants that are near me when I'm visiting a city. So use those hashtags in your collection because that's where people are going to actually be searching for and therefore find your content.
So it doesn't sound like you're a big fan of these general hashtags that you see a lot, like, I don't know, a couple of examples, like Monday's Pick or
oh my God, no.
Insta Awesome.
No. No. And the reason why is they're usually spam. The people that follow those hashtags and engage with you are purely spam. You're not going to get quality people looking at those photos. And the content that's out there is just so ridiculous that you really don't need to be associated with that. So I mean, there are some that are worthwhile in the sense that, they may actually be related to your content and whatnot. But yeah, the pick for pick or follow for follow and Instapick and,
Right.
things like outfit of the day or OOTD, those work because if you're a fashion blogger and you're literally talking about your outfit, you're going to use hashtag OOTD because that's your outfit of the day. But that's relevant. It's not just being like, girl boss. Well, yeah, great. You're going to get a lot of engagement for using hashtag girl boss because technically if you want to put yourself in that category, but what does that have to do with your content?
Right.
So it's better to be, and again, yes, you use hashtag girl boss. You may get a bunch more likes. You might get a bunch more engagement, but is it really serving you anything of value? There's going to be spam accounts that are liking your content, and it's not, if you're using the right other popular hashtags that are still brand and niche specific, using those highly generalized ones is not going to make any impact on your strategic value. So you're better off just staying off of them and letting the trolls hang out over there.
Right. Jen, as we wind down this podcast, I want to ask you, as someone who studies Instagram closely, what changes do you see coming down the road that you think that Instagram will make in the future that will make it a better platform?
Oh my God. I could go on for hours again. So here's the thing. Instagram has done a lot in the last year to really boost capabilities for marketers. And as bloggers, we're marketers. We're marketing ourselves as bloggers. We're marketing our content. We are trying to get our information out there. The business profiles that are now available for Instagram are amazing. I am obsessed with business profiles. I think everyone should be a business profile because you get in-app analytics, so you can see how your content is performing. You know what's working and what's not working, and you can figure out why. You know who your audience is. You know, are they male, female, geographically, where are they? You know when they're actively engaging with your content. If you don't know that inherently, which if you spend enough time on Instagram, you kind of figure that out, but they have app analytics that tell you Tuesday at 9 a.m. is your best engagement time. So there's so much you get from being a business profile, including contact information. You can set up that they email you. So if someone has a question, they can hit that email button. It opens up their email on their phone, and they're literally typing you an email 2 seconds later. I mean, talk about easy communication with your audience. There's ads on the platform now, which are through the Facebook Business Manager. So you can run ads, which again, as a blogger is great. If you're offering free downloads or giveaways or webinars or anything, even just a blog post notification, you can push that out via ads. There's going to be a lot more coming in terms of in-app integration. So they're going to be doing things that are going to allow people to book services, meaning I could use Instagram to have book people's consultations. They could literally go through the process and never leave Instagram and book a consultation with me. There's a lot of things that are going to be coming down the road in terms of that kind of growth for marketers. And I think it's going to be amazing. I mean, there will be some bumps in the road. There's going to be some things that change that people aren't going to love because inevitably that does happen. But even when you look at the introduction of Instagram stories and Instagram Live and how that's already changed the platform and different interactions, Instagram is far from being where they're going to be by the end. So there's a lot to come and be excited about.
And I'm sure you need a personal account to use a business account, right?
Well, you start off as an account, and if you're a personal account, then you upgrade to a business profile. You can always go back down to a personal profile if you want, but you just need to upgrade your existing account. So it's not like Facebook where you have to already have an account kind of to have another one. Like you just upgrade. Like I have one account and I just upgraded it from a personal to a business. But you do have to have a Facebook business page. That is the caveat, because you're linking to be able to use the Facebook Business Manager for ads. Mm-hmm. In order to be an Instagram business account, you do actually have to have a Facebook business page connected to it. So if you don't have a business page, you either need to create one or you would stay as a normal account on Instagram.
Very cool. Wow, you make me want to spend more time on Instagram.
Yeah, good. That's my whole plan.
And speaking of Instagram, where can people find you on Instagram, Jen?
I am at Jenns_trends, so JENNS_TRENDS, and I'm at the same place on Twitter. But yeah, I'm over there on Instagram. Come hang out with me. Let me know you heard me from here from the podcast or that sort of thing. Like I said, every time I write a blog post, it gets announced over there on Instagram, so you never miss anything. And for my daughter, I share photos of my, my professional life and other things that are going on, and Instagram lives and Facebook live videos where I do kind of this kind of podcast style. I just talk about things that are going on, whether it's trends and that sort of stuff, and I always advertise that. And then like I said, I live stream it to Instagram Live, so you can hang out with me on Instagram every other week and get all the good information.
Sounds good. Well, Jen, thanks for coming on the Blog Chronicles today. It's been a pleasure talking with you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of the Blog Chronicles. If you enjoy the show, please subscribe on YouTube or iTunes and leave us a rating or review to help other bloggers find us. If you want to chat, look me up on Twitter at Matt Loomis. Who is going to be featured on the next Blog Chronicles? Her blog is devoted to homeschooling parents, and she uses her platform to help parents of children with special needs with educational info, and her content also covers other parenting topics as well. So I'll see you next time on the Blog Chronicles.